Hello guys and welcome back to Host Coasters. Today we're going to be taking a quick look at Six Flags Great America. I'm going to be giving you some tips and tricks for your, I assume, upcoming visit to the park. Let's get to it. Okay, so we're going to start off with parking. So for folks who have never visited the park, I would enter via the back entrance if you're going during opening, especially if it is on a Saturday, Sunday, or during Fright Fest. You're going to want to go through the back entrance. Now, if you don't know where that is, I'm just going to put up a quick video on the screen. So go through that back entrance if it's, especially during a busier day. Generally, you won't need it, but it might save you a fair amount of time and let you beat those people in the regular lines. The second thing I'm going to talk about is tickets. So when you get up to that gate, I would definitely recommend having your tickets on your phone. There's barely anybody who still uses paper. Like, a minuscule amount of people still use paper. But it is a good reminder to put your tickets on your phone, whether it's a membership or anything. I would just do this in general, and I'd also use your app on the phone for purchasing food. Use it for the new Fast Pass. That's really the only place you can access the Fast Pass now. And use it for the map that has actually fairly updated wait times. Now let's move on to the rides. This is a big one. So when you're visiting the park, I would start with the bigger coasters, specifically the B&Ms though. So if you don't know what the B&Ms are, these are coasters manufactured by Bolliger and Mabillard. And these coasters include Superman, X-Lite, Raging Bull, and Batman. And the reason I say start with those is because those really do have long lines. While they generally, eat a lot of people, they're really good at have good capacities. Superman, X-Lite, and Raging Bull specifically get really long lines. If you're a big fan of roller coasters, want the biggest and baddest thing, I would definitely start with Raging Bull in your day. Now, if you're a coaster enthusiast who doesn't feel comfortable with single rider lines, which I'll talk about in a second, then you might want to consider starting with Goliath, which definitely is the best ride in the park in my opinion. But if you're not, and you're just trying to get all the coasters out of the way, keep that in mind that Superman, X-Lite, Raging Bull will get extremely long lines, and there's not really many ways to avoid it. Batman lesser so, but still generally gets some pretty long lines on busy days. Let's move on to, as I talked about, single rider lines. So this is one amazing way to avoid lines. If you're not buying a Fast Pass, then you don't really have a way to skip the lines unless the ride has a single rider line. This is key for a few different rides, specifically Max 4s in Goliath, and I have seen the single rider sign sometimes out on Superman, so keep that in mind for Superman. However, some other rides also do have a single rider line. This includes Joker, which you can bypass the line on that crappy ride. Dark Knight, same thing, that crappy ride, you can pass it right by and get in the car. Now, if you're not comfortable with riding with other people, then actually some of those rides you can avoid, specifically Superman and Dark Knight. Generally, because they're family rides, at the end of the day, they will lose a lot of their crowds, but they still generally stay busy throughout the day. So I would definitely use those single rider lines. You can find all those on the app. Just again, the single rider lines are Max Force, Goliath, Joker, Superman, Dark Knight. I believe that is all of them. Comment down below if I missed some. I'm sure I did. So that is it for the single rider lines. Now we're going to talk about food. This is extremely important on your visit. When should you buy food? Should you buy out of the park? All that stuff. So for food, should you leave the park? I would actually say no. While a lot of people do exit the park, go to the Culver's that's across the street, I don't think that's the best choice. And I say that because especially when it's in Fright Fest or it gets busy, then you go from a parking spot in the front row all the way to a parking spot in the back. What I generally do, and this is probably in my opinion the smartest option, if you want to pay less, pack your lunch. It's not that hard. It'll save you a bunch of time. You just walk out, eat your lunch in the front of the park or in your car, and then go back in, and you won't lose too much time. I mean, it's probably just as long as the trip to Culver's and back, except now you're still parked in the front, and you've saved money, saved even more money. Now, if you are going to buy a meal in the park, which feel free to do so. You know, it is a little expensive, so I generally don't do it, especially when I visit a lot. But you can. I would definitely get food at the food court personally. It's near a lot of the bigger rides, and it has a lot of options. I would say a lot of the other food places around the park, because they're more sparse and scarce as you walk around, they're going to have longer lines. So I would definitely go to the food court, where you're going to have a lot more options for your group. But generally, I feel like they have shorter lines. I could be wrong on that, though. Now let's move to merch. Where should you buy your merch? Well, there are a lot of options, but there's a lot of crappy options. I would definitely start off, for looking with merch, the front of the park, to be honest. There is the Six store. There's another merch shop right in New Orleans that I barely go to, but there is also the Max 4 store. So between those 3 stores, Victory Lane, Flags, and the Great American Emporium, you should be able to find the best of the merch at this park. Now, again, I always say this, their merch is kind of bad. But you will find some Max 4 t-shirts and stuff in the Victory Lane store, Goliath stuff, and some other coasters, and really most of the Six Flags stuff in the Flag store. And Great American Emporium has your typical Six Flags stuff. If you're looking for merch, those 3 stores should be it. Now, if you do want very specific merch for a ride, like Raging Bull, there's not really a store for that. Goliath does have the store right outside that is called Thrill Seekers. So you may be able to find some good merch there. Also, with the DC rides, there's a lot of DC stores there, so if you really specifically want that stuff, you got to go there. But I'd say your best chance to find good quality merch is going to be in those stores right in the front. If you think you have a better solution to that, please put it down below again, and if you have any overall tips for this park, put those down below. But that's going to end up our video. Thank you guys for watching this one, and I'll see you guys next time here on Midwest Coasters. Goodbye.